The Great Depression, the worst economic downturn the modern world has ever seen. And the Great Recession, the second worst economic downturn the modern world has ever seen. Let's take a look at some similarities and differences between the two, and the differences that the Keynesian and Hayekian model of how government spending does or does not affect the economy. One similarity between the Great Depression and the Great Recession is that the unemployment rate rose dramatically during both events. However, the unemployment rate during the Great Recession peaked at only 10.8%, which is less than half of that at the peak of the Great Depression at 25%. The high unemployment left many people out of work and out of their homes, and sadly, on the streets. In fact, bread was rationed to keep the population from starving. During both events, the stock market crashed on October 29, 1929 and September 29, 2008, followed by months of steady decline. The Dow Jones ended up dropping below 60% of its original value, with these 2 days known as the worst stock market crashes in history. Unlike the Great Recession, the Great Depression was salvaged with World War II and a massive spike in economic production, producing jobs, increasing government spending, and a surge in military production. The Great Recession had no war to help boost the economy to save it. It was slowly able to crawl out and restore balance. Keynesian economics calls for massive spending during a recession, but during the Great Depression, the Federal Reserve was only allowed to increase the money supply by a certain amount because the United States was still stuck on the gold standard. During the recession, the Fed had no such restriction and thus doubled the money supply, putting a much greater effort into the government programs and getting money into consumer pockets. The policy of the men in office played a large role in creating a remedy for the Great Depression and the Great Recession. Herbert Hoover had a strict laissez-faire policy and raised taxes in an attempt to generate more money for the government during the Great Depression. Hoover eventually tried to create more jobs by making large projects such as the Hoover Dam. FDR had a completely different plan. FDR created mass amounts of government spending, and in 1935, the top marginal tax rate hit 79%. Few paid that rate, but thousands of Americans were in the 50% bracket. He also created the Agricultural Adjustment Act to raise the value of crops and livestock in America. The war was going on and was a great plug for government spending, and with the help of the New Deal, the economy managed to bounce back around 1939. It should be noted that the economy bounced back after the war in 1935, only because of the government spending. During the recession, Ben Bernanke, who was chairman of the Federal Reserve, was very hands-on. In 2008, he massively lowered interest rates and purchased back bonds. He was also the creator of a massive bank bailout package, which saved the top 19 banks in the country from collapsing each other. President Bush and Obama were both very aggressive in fixing the economy. Bush did the Economic Stimulus Act of 2008, an act issued by Congress which gave the major tax refunds to the middle and lower classes in an attempt to jumpstart the economy. Obama was famous for the American Restoration and Recovery Act, a massive stimulus package that increased government spending and created thousands of jobs. This chart below shows that due to the government actions from 2008 to 2010, over 9 billion jobs were saved. It should also be noted that unemployment rates from the recession were much less sporadic and declined at a much faster rate than that of the Depression. In conclusion, comparing these two events show that understanding Keynesian economics helped the leaders of the recession to avoid another depression. They massively increased government spending to make the most of its effects not as detrimental as the Great Depression. This shows that the Keynesian model of economics is a successful method to reduce the effects of the Depression.